What's going on, fishy friends? I'm excited to be here tonight. It's getting a little chilly outside, and let's hope that doesn't ruin our bites. But we have three gentlemen here tonight that are going to explain to you why this region of the Chesapeake Bay is a 12-month bite, and we can catch fish all year long. We have with us tonight three very knowledgeable gentlemen. We have Stephen Kambouris. I really wanted to mess with Eddie Weber and call him the South River Angler and see if he'd catch on to it, but I don't have the courage to do that. We have Eddie, the Seven River Angler, Weber, and special guest tonight, Sam Tudor of Outdoors in Maryland. So let's go ahead and bring all of those gentlemen in. 1, 2, and 3. This would go a lot better if I had like a AV assistant, right? Cambo, how old are your kids? I'm sure they're like masters of the tech, right? How much?
Dude, it's my oldest is going to go into high school next year. We're aiming for Eastern Tech. I want to go back to high school. They have a program over there that trains and certifies you in the entire Adobe suite.
Oh my God.
Wow, that's crazy.
She's going to be training me. That's what's going to happen. She's going to train me, bro.
Seriously.
Well, can we talk about an hourly rate now? Is it too early?
It's too early, but only just slightly. Wait till next year, man. We'll get her on there.
But you'll probably be using her for your stuff, right?
Yes, I think most of her life's going to become contingent upon how much she does for my channel. Yeah.
You are now hired for free
as an internship right there.
Cambo's content is just going to explode, and we'll all know why. He's like, I don't have to edit anymore.
Exactly. All I got to do is fish. It's the perfect world.
Right.
Wouldn't that be perfect?
That would be perfect. Well, how's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing good.
Dude, doing good. Work's trying to kill me, man, but I'm doing good.
Well, Sam, you and I have done shows and we've done stuff together. But for this show, Eddie and Cambo are kind of even though we're only in our second one, they're kind of our staples. But for this show, you're a new one. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us about Outdoors in Maryland and kind of what got you fishing and what keeps you fishing.
It was, everything to say is that I think that Cambo said it when we talked the other day, is that one morning you get up and you see, all of a sudden you just see this thing flopping across the top of the water, and then you see something explode on it, and come to find out it's either Bill Dance, Roland Martin, Hank Parker, these guys, had their first fishing shows, and Jimmy Houston, you can't forget about him. He's the one who always slobbered all over a bass,
That's right.
And that's what I always targeted, was largemouth. I was excited about largemouth like Stephen and Eddie is about, snakeheads. That's what I did everything, bought everything, did everything I could to catch that big largemouth bass. That's what we do. So I did that, and like I said, Cambo is one of the reasons why I started the YouTube channel. Now I'm getting ready to turn 56, and I was in my 50s when I started this, and my buddies, oh no, this is a young man's game. This is a young man's game. You're just wasting your time. And this last couple of months has been a little tough. I've been grinding, but and I just started fishing, and then I introduced my wife to crabbing one day, and I created a monster.
That was the end of it right there. Yep, that was the end of it right there, dude. The crabbing game.
Well, we have some people already chiming in. Rashawn says it looks like Sam looks like a radio talk show host. For the rest of this show, can we just call you like Crazy DJ Sam?
Hey, come on, man. I can't help it. My mother gave me this face for radio.
But your set looks sweet, dude. Your set, we're all just messing with you, but
it does look good. Good to have you on, man.
It took time, like I told Cambo, this is probably 5 to 6 months, buying a piece here, studying everything about, StreamYard and what I can do. And, so and I guess the whole point is that, with the channel, I wanted to do live streams, podcast, and wanted to go inside tackle shops, local tackle shops to
Yeah.
support them. So I thought it was a good idea. And like I said, Cambo, every time I've asked him to come and hang out and talk fishing, he's always been there. So,
He's pretty
I
good
gotta
about
say
that.
kudos to
Pretty
him.
good about that.
Yeah.
Campbell,
Even
I'll
rushing
stop
in
and
to get in
say,
here.
I'm more of a trash talker, but I'll take a second to say that, like, dude, like, for as busy as you are with your kids, man, you really are giving with your time, and I think we all appreciate that.
Hey, dude, I appreciate the invite, man. Like I mean, it's been a year, man. I'm just trying to keep up, dude. It's been a year. But yeah, Sam, thanks for the invite, dude. Like what Sam's doing, if y'all aren't aware, he's kind of going around to all the local tackle shops. Pretty much, in Maryland, might be accurate, but
I'm gonna hit Delaware.
There you go.
I'm like really close to Delaware, and I'm hoping that my new sponsor, Delaware Paddle Sports, would call me up. No, it's really just it was an idea, and I think I got some cool guests. Like I said, Cambo's been my first guest, and my next one is going to be hard for me. I don't think it's going to be hard because the girl is she's a character, and but she's a big boat captain, female, and I watch her channel. I met her at the Bay Bridge boat show, and so we've been communicating. She's going to show up. It should be cool.
Well, before we get too much into outdoors in Maryland, I want to go ahead and show a couple of clips that Sam was kind enough to share with me about this.
All right.
And
Okay.
Sam, I want you to talk a little bit more about it. Guys,
Okay.
Cambo and Sam, if you want to talk or heckle him during these videos, you have to unmute yourself, because as soon as we start playing videos, it's going to mute you. So if you want to be like, oh, this video sucks, Sam doesn't know what he's doing. All right. So here's one that I thought was pretty cool. Something that I'd never really gotten an inside look at until I saw it today.
Yeah, I went out at the rake. I always go out with her and do commercial crabbing. She's out there in this weather doing some commercial oyster. These tough women, man. So I get the privilege to do this every once in a while, to go out with these guys and see what it's like, to make a living on the water. And it's it was 20 degrees that day, and we left when I go commercial crabbing or commercial oystering, I mean, it's dark. I mean, it's pitch dark, and these guys, they just follow their tracks, and that's when crabbing is a little different than oystering. Once you start, seriously, you see that thing, it's just they're just constantly going in a circle, and they are just constantly, it's like they take one break. They took one break that whole time, and their goal is to fill up 20 bushels of oysters. Each one has a license, so each one can bring back 10 bushel. So their goal is to get 20 bushel on the boat. And that is Blau Seafood. That's not too far from me. That's his boat, 40-foot. Nice boat, nice guy.
And
It's very cool.
I'll tell you what, if my wife makes it on that boat before they make it back to port, they're going to arrive with no bushels. my wife will shred every freaking oyster they catch, man.
I'm the same way. Like I've slurped down several dozen in just the last few weeks now that it's oyster season.
Yeah.
Man,
So
right
like
off the boat, that'd be incredible.
I know, dude.
No, and I've seen those oyster guys working before when I'm over on the Eastern Shore fishing, and I've been really tempted to just kind of scoot right up to them and be like, "Hey guys."
Here's a six-pack.
The problem with that is that DNR is so strict. When they're done and they fill their bushels up, you literally have to pick every oyster up off the floor. I mean, your boat's got to be clean, clear. If you have, they're very particular about making sure everything's cleared off, because anything over them bushels, you can get in trouble for. And in the that video is from I just put that video up, like 2 videos in, and he puts a red buoy out. He puts where he wants, and he has lines. So not only was he close to a sanctuary, he was close to where guys. So you have your hand tongers that do it by hand.
Mm-hmm.
They have their certain areas. You have your patent tongers. Patent tongers basically has a machine that will close up and close. So they stay in one spot mostly and dig up oysters, and they kind of stay in one spot. The dredgers, what we were doing, they kind of they'll pick an area of 100 yards, they kind of stay out maybe 100 yards at the most away from a buoy, and they kind of just go in circles around that buoy and dredge up, and it's just, they just get going, and it's nonstop until they're done.
So, Sam, have you lifted both a bushel of oysters and a bushel of crabs?
Yes. When I was with Captain Rachel last year.
Which one's heavier? Which one's heavier? That's what I'm curious about right here.
I'm going oysters.
That's what I'm thinking. Oysters got to be freaking heavy, man.
Well, if you watch the video, I don't think she's that much over 100 pounds, and she humps every one of them bushels to the back of the boat.
Nothing but respect.
Yeah, we've seen now down on crabs too, and she doesn't mess around. She throws those things around probably better than any of the four of us would.
And so that's the thing, is crabs, for us, like recreational guys, it's like everything is like kind of an adventure. When you do it for a living, that's a whole different animal. It's like you got your processes down pat, and you just like moving. You're working a job, man. That's different.
Yeah, it's not. It's crabbing. You can kind of, just run your lines, and she does it by herself. So every time she gets done their second line, she's calling all the crabs. So it's a constant. And people, we video it and try to make it, we try to make it look easy. But let me tell you what, she is calling, she's calling. It's repetition. I try to make it look fancy, but it's basically, you're just repeating it all day long, and it can be a long day. And with her, the bushels, when you're done, you're done. And what sucks for her that she got so frustrated is they put bushel limits on her. She was only allowed the same amount of money you pay for gas, the same amount of money for everything, but they lowered the crabbing. She was allowed 4 bushels of number ones, and that was it. She was cut off in August or something. So, it's tough when you're trying to make a living. All of a sudden they tell you can't, and what's funny is that, have you ever looked at Luke and CJ when they're out there, they had to throw crabs back because they were put on limits, and then they'll come back and catch them the following week or the next day or something.
We're going to watch another of your videos really quick. Nikki and Bob will answer that question in just a bit. It's not my piece of artwork, but you're probably right. So I'm going to check with the of that. Just happens to also be my significant other. We're going to check with the owner on that. We're going to watch another one of Sam's videos. But Sam, real quick, you showed us a short of the oyster catching process. Do you have a full-length video on your YouTube channel that we can follow up with?
Oh yeah, I got that's part of the video that I made. It's about 15 minutes or long, a little bit more, but yeah, it's a couple videos back. So if you just go to videos, it's a couple back. You'll see Rachel sitting on a bunch of oysters.
So if any of our amazing listeners or viewers want to do us a favor, go into Sam's channel real quick, Outdoors in Maryland. Find that video and then post the link here in the chat. We're gonna watch the second one of his shorts right here. And remember, guys, if you want to heckle or comment, you got to unmute yourself. Those are some hammer crabs there.
I love pulling up a heavy trap, man.
Yeah, that was awesome. She's on it too.
Yep.
Hey man, the end of the year we have a certain spot we go to. We will not tell you where that's at. The crab, they were we caught some pretty big crabs there, man. They're big crabs.
All right, so if any of my amazing audience can locate something in the background of that video and then post the spot.
The only thing I'll tell you, no, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not telling you.
Sam, do you just fish the Eastern Shore, or just crab? The
Yeah, I mean, I haven't
crab on the west side.
Yeah, there was a certain spot that I love fishing all the time, and I won the snakehead tournament right there in that spot. We don't want to say
Yeah,
I went on the west shore because, well, I always fish the gunpowders, Seneca, Middle River. When I bass fish, that's the area I always fish with. Mariner Park up around Joppatown and stuff like that. And when I moved down here, I had to learn how to fish fast moving rivers, and fast moving rivers is a whole different puppy there. It's a whole different thing.
So Sam, right when you guys were finished crabbing that day, what nearby restaurant did you go to?
Sam, it's called Sam's Crab Shack.
Do you crab on the west side?
We used to. The first time I ever took my wife, the first time I ever took the wife, we went right out of Dundee Creek. We went straight out, and we were catching. I mean, you think them crabs? We were catching monster crabs. I mean, we were catching. I mean, I got a picture of a crab that's like the size of my wife's head, and that's when she was hooked. That was the first time we only had 15 traps. I could only afford 15 crab traps at the time. And
what year was that?
Dude, that might have been 2004, 5. I mean, it was like early 2000s, because we've been here since 2009.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on Eastern Shore since 2009, and I think it's been a couple years before. So it had to be around. Were we crabbing when I was at Bob Evans?
Down on the farm.
Can't remember.
Hey, thank you, Bob. Aaron Montgomery just answered your question regarding the piece of artwork.
Sam, I was just curious if, like,
Aaron Montgomery,
if the crabbing on the Eastern Shore is a lot different than the Western Shore. You use different.
Well, a lot of times on the Western Shore, there's crabs might show up a little later than what they do on the Eastern Shore.
Yeah.
When I start crabbing earlier in the season, I will go down. I mean, I can kind of tell you, I'll go down towards Slaughter Creek, maybe around Slaughter Creek, down that area. Now the crabs won't be as big, but a lot of times you can catch them down there first. We got an area down there that we've actually did. Every time we've been there, we've done really, really well. But we just, you're not catching the big crabs. Just for some reason, as they move up and get closer to us, the crabs, man, can just be ridiculous how big they are.
Hey, not to interrupt, but really quick, guys, we're going to be talking about, snakehead, largemouth bass, definitely pickerels, especially considering we have Eddie Weber here. But that's going to be kind of casual conversation as we sort of run through those three. But all of you guys' questions are going to be prioritized. So any questions that come in, we're going to take them, and you can direct them to a certain person. Or you can sort of leave it open for the gallery. But if you ask a question, you become eligible to win prize of the night. And here's how we're going to do that. Eddie's going to pick a question. Cambo's going to pick a question.
Oh, shit.
Sam is going to be the tiebreaker. He's going to pick which one of those questions, the better one.
I like it.
That will be the winner.
Nice.
But Eddie, I feel like I want to call you Witness Protection Program because you're in like a dark room.
I'm like, yeah, I know. I got all my lights behind me. I'm in the garage. That's why I got my hoodie on, man. It's cold out here now.
I need a voice modulator
to be on my show. I should send them one of these one of these ring lights, you know?
There you go. Yeah, that might be a little better. I don't know.
Yeah. No, but you know what? You might not have a face that we need to see in clear detail.
You're right. You're right. It's good, like muted all around.
But Eddie, show us what we win.
Yeah. Well, I'm here in the HOCB headquarters here, and
Let's go.
you know, just it's kind of lure of your choice. You know, and anything you pick, just message me.
Anything, because some of them jokers cost like $25.
Yeah, so anything you want. So just message me.
And they get one, right?
Get one.
They
One this time. Yep.
Okay, so guys, don't pick a torpedo spin, because
Right.
while it's an awesome bait, it's only worth like $5.
Right.
How much they sell for?
I think they're like $7.50 a pack. Yeah.
Yep.
But you can get much more out of your money.
Yeah,
right?
you can. You can. Get a little bang for your buck.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Your boss man's back there. So Steve's like, dude, Grant, chill. But yeah, guys, get your questions in starting now, really, and as they come in, we'll answer them. But you know, Sam, you're the guest. What are we talking about first? We're gonna get it. What freshwater species we want to talk about?
I really like to hear. I think I like to hear what's going on with the pickerel, because I mean I haven't really been out fishing a whole lot, and that's right now. I think crappie and the pickerel is probably going to be my target species, and I think I'm going to stay in a little lake around me, so it's not going to be tidal, so it should be a little easier. I've told Steven about this spot. He rides by it all the time, and he rides by it. And I'm going to try to show him a couple pictures of some of the fish I can catch there.
All right. Okay. All right. Send the pics, man. Let's go.
Yeah,
Ed, you want
absolutely.
to kick us off on the give us the lowdown on what's going on with the pickerel?
Yeah.
Particularly your favorite spot.
Of course. Always dropping spots. Always dropping secrets. Yeah, the pickerel. It's been good. It hasn't been fantastic. It's a little up and down. Numbers have been good. The size hasn't been crazy. Talking from, you know, kind of, I fish a lot of West Side. I've really stayed to the Severn up until December. Then I kind of go out to, you know, Patapsco, Magathie, stuff like that. Just general areas. Like I said, it's been okay. You find them in very specific spots. Target grass, like dying grass beds.
Mhm.
Haven't found them around like tree structure. It's been really only around grass, which has been pretty interesting. And like the other day I went out and it was 30, 34 degrees, and I found them like 2 feet from shore. And I thought they'd be in that 4 or 5 foot range, but I was casting like right up against shore, and they were hitting it 3 feet off the shore in like 2 feet of water, which was pretty surprising, because usually when it's that cold in the morning, they're not up there that quickly. Usually if it warms up, maybe they'll come up there, but it hasn't been a consistent pattern like last year. Other than finding them around grass, docks hasn't been as consistent. Finding them, structure hasn't been as consistent, and they've been way shallower than last year.
So what are you throwing shallow then, Eddie?
I throw those little extra those little jerk baits, the one I put on my Instagram the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's like a number 8, and I keep my tip up, so it's just like it's diving literally probably 6 inches to a foot just below the surface.
Yep.
Just the jerk bait's been crushing it.
Okay.
Earlier in the year was like paddle tails, but the jerk bait's been really good lately. The yellow perch, white, and that kind of chartreuse with red color.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the yellow perch jerkbait, you know, that's kind of a match the hatch deal, right? I mean, if you don't pickerel feed pretty heavily off of small yellow perch.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks a lot like the minnows and like little, not as much like the menhaden, but they're definitely chasing the little bunker around too. I've actually surprisingly caught more yellow perch this year than I've ever caught in the Severn. And some like hammers, some like 13 and a quarter, where I've caught one before this year. I just caught one yellow perch in the Severn ever. And I've caught 3 this year.
Chris, if
Pretty cool.
Chris says I want to catch a stripper, just be gonna be fishing, looking in the water. Just a lot of them can't swim.
That's something that I would write.
You know,
Probably in that
low
Dundalk
fat
area.
content, they just sink like a rock.
Dundalk's where to be, baby.
Yeah. Don says, catch them on the block. Yeah. We do
Ain't that
have
crabs. That's crabs, dude.
I don't think we're quite done with the pickerel thing, but I'm a man of my word. So Rodney Green asked, Eddie, what is your go-to for snakehead?
For snakehead? Well, I'll give you 2. So I'll go topwater, Frogzilla right there, white Frogzilla. Just a really nice topwater. Sits in the water like this, made by HOCB, of course. Just really good hookup ratio. You can cast this thing a mile. And then probably number 2 subsurface is the weedless chatterbait. Just go to. It's so easy. Let me just throw it around any structure. You can knock this off logs, off whatever, rip it through pads. Really like 3/8. We have 3/8 and 1/8. Shallower 1/8, deeper 3/8.
Guys, we're going to go around the round table on that because we have really 3 guys here, and then I'm going to consider myself like a half of a snakehead angler because it's probably like way down the list of things that I target, but I love targeting them. So I'm just going to jump and piggyback off of Eddie. I'm kind of like I said, a self-proclaimed noob. So, man, I found if you throw that chatterbait, like if you just want to catch a snakehead, you throw that chatterbait, you're going to increase your chances. But for Steven and Eddie, remember, guys, when you get a good question that comes in, either write down the name of the person or write down the name is much better because it gets difficult sometimes when there's a lot of questions to scroll back through all of them and find it. Cambo, what's your favorite snakehead bait?
My most reliable snakehead bait is going to be the Meps. Meps number 4 is usually pretty good. Meps number 3, pretty good. I mean, I can't knock a chatterbait, man. When nothing else is catching, oftentimes a chatterbait will. And then I throw a variety of topwater frogs. I've kind of talked about those before, so I think I'm actually going to say the buzzbait, man. Now, snakehead are not always going to be on a buzzbait bite, but when they are, oh my God, is that fun, man? Because you'll see them tunnel it, shark it from like several feet away. Just remember, when you're working it back in with that buzzbait, you get it back to the kayak, drop it down a few inches underneath the surface, jig it real quick. Because sometimes those snakehead are stealthy followers, man. You won't know they're there until you do a little bit of jigging. I've caught a lot of snakehead right next to the kayak by dropping that buzzbait, 100%.
I got to say that I think a snakehead buzzbait bite might be the most fun.
And you can cover so much water, too. I mean, they're not always in the mood to chase, but when they are, like put just a little bit of ripples on the surface from a light wind or a light rain. Right. Oh, boy. I'm reaching for that buzzbait for a fact.
I'm not patient enough with the buzzbait for some reason or something. You crush it, man. What? Just follow up question on that. Actually, how do you know, or like how persistent are you with the buzzbait until you're like, nah, they're just not into it today?
That's a great question. And somebody else is in the chat here who used to be like, I hate throwing a buzzbait because he used to Butch Huber over there, Real American Fishing. He used to follow me around when we fished together on, the different rivers on the Eastern Shore. And he would watch me just slaying on the buzzbait. He'd throw it, nothing, until this year. And that's when he started catching on it, started catching a lot on it. And then once that confidence is there, you're good. But I guess to build that confidence, the places I would throw it to build that confidence, one is going to be like a big hydrilla mat on a high tide when you got about 3 or 4 inches of water on top of that hydrilla mat. So it's just enough water on top of it to be able to throw that buzz bait without getting snagged in the grass.
I know I know a perfect spot for that.
I bet you do. We all do, right? We might not say it, but we know what we're talking about.
Cambo, can I tell the story real quick about how you accidentally gave me your sweet spot? I'm not going to give away the sweet spot.
Go for it. Let's go for it.
You remember the story?
No, but I don't remember much. You can tell by the hair color.
All right. And we're going to
I lost my memory
real quick. But Cambo sent me a picture of a giant snakehead that he caught, and that I wanted to go. I went back a few days later, and I wanted to see what day he caught it. So I clicked the info on the picture, and he forgot to turn off location services.
What a fool! What a fool!
So honestly, I did the honorable thing. I turned it off, and I've now forgotten it. But he told me at the time, he was like, "That's my favorite spot," and I was like, "Cambo, you got to turn off location on photos that you send." But Sam, what's your go-to snakehead bait?
Something I think it's not as fun, but I think would work all year long, and I think anybody could use it, would be a bobber and minnow. Now, I like the chatterbait. I think it would work if you're going to be moving it, but if you're looking for something that I think could work all year long, maybe, you're taking your kid out, maybe you're doing something, I think that a bobber and minnow is the easiest way to get started. Like my grandson, you got there and you take him out there with the bobber and minnow. And then once he starts casting and getting used to it, I think that's the easiest way, the most easiest way to find it. And live bait sometimes will always work better than artificial.
Yep.
We're in the live bait part of the year, especially for snakehead. We are in the live bait part of the year for a fact.
Well, even to pickerel too. It's getting to that point too. Or the other day, I was having a couple trips where it was slow, and I was like, all right, I'll get some minnows, and actually it did okay, but again, I'm not patient enough with minnows. Sometimes I just kind of let them float in the back while I'm casting. But minnows is always a good option.
It's funny that as Cambo said, the MEPS spinner. I've always felt that all these snakehead guys throw MEPS out there as like what is it called? Like a red herring. It's like the fake out bait, like to get you to use it a lot, knowing it's not going to work. I never catch anything on it. And then it's funny, somebody else came through and he said the chatterbait. Yeah, Chris Walker says, I hate chatterbaits. I've only caught one snakehead on them. I got that bait where like everyone else catches on it, but you don't.
Yep.
For some odd reason.
My buddy's got that for pickerel.
Sometimes change the color of the trailer.
Could be. My buddy's all about the MEPS.
Sometimes,
man. I just don't catch MEPS on. I just don't catch pickerel on MEPS. I don't know. I try it.
And it's what's funny. I was fishing with the fish angler. We're down on the Chick and we're fishing for snakehead. And this is before the bow fishermen really showed up. And we were throwing everything. And the main thing, we were throwing white paddle tails or white stuff. And I texted Steven. He was out that day. He asked, what? He goes, I got a white paddle tail, it's got a yellow tail. We didn't have no yellow tail. So I did have some of that dip stuff, so where you can actually dip the white into the yellow. Now it didn't work, but it could be just as easy as just changing the color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good point, man. Yeah, the MEPS will definitely catch pickerel. The downside of the MEPS with pickerel, though, a lot of times when pickerel feed, if you ever seen underwater video, their intent is to completely inhale. So if you're gonna use a MEPS, I recommend a short leader, because you had a good shot of a pickerel cutting you off on a MEPS. My buddy Rodney over at Tight Lines 302, he learned a lesson the hard way pickerel fishing, and probably about a month ago, man. I think he lost 3 or 4 MEPS that day to cutoffs on pickerel.
Oh man.
Yup.
Oh man.
Donating to the fish.
I always use those the tactical clips seem to help
Yep.
a lot.
They do.
Lot. I use that religiously now. Paddle tails, anything with MEPS.
Yep.
Or for a pickerel, I'll take it off, and then I swear I've taken it off. I'm like, I'm not gonna use it this time. Whatever. I just lost it. Throw it in. It's gone.
Yep.
Gone. Just straight off. I'm like,
going to give you like at least 1/3 of an inch of additional protection for the.
it does. It does. Yep.
That's a good point. C.L. Marshall asked a question. It's a very basic question. Anybody go fishing yesterday?
Oh boy.
I did not. I went recently, but not yesterday.
Saw some good surfing pictures
I,
yesterday.
had to, I worked in that stuff yesterday. It wasn't too fun.
Yeah. I mean, holy crap.
Man.
If you were fishing yesterday, man, you're hardcore. As
Yeah.
that was some tough conditions. We were white capping in the morning. I mean, there was some tough conditions. Now, over the weekend, I went. Yeah, over the weekend I went, and kind of touching on what Eddie said about finding fish shallow. I found the fish that I was catching with my son that was largemouth. We were finding them shallow. I mean, like on like a channel edge, like kind of what's left over pad field, probably about 2.5 feet.
Yeah.
That's where they were hanging. That's where they were hanging.
Yeah.
What,
We like
you got
would never.
that
Yeah, just wouldn't think of them that shit. Even if I know it was probably 50 degrees, but still, I mean, water was in the high 30s, low 40s where we were late last week. So
yeah, where I was at yesterday was bouncing between 42 and 43. That's after the warm up that we had.
yeah,
So, I mean, that water, those few days of like honest to God cold we had, they dropped those water temps quickly, man.
they did.
That water has chilled out.
Yeah, there's a lot of people watching the thermometer right now because this cold day that we're getting now has the potential to shut a lot of bites off. So
Yeah,
we're gonna see. Sean Diggity from down in Florida.
Hey,
Is there
Sean.
a time you leave fish to find fish? And if so, why?
I got to think about that for a minute. Eddie or Sam, Grant, what you got for that, man? I got answers, but I got to think for a second.
I mean, yeah, there's a time, and I leave fish to find fish, and the why is because I'm stupid.
I watch this, so it depends. So if I'm a bass fisherman and I'm fishing a tournament, bass fishing, because I do local. I haven't done a local tournament in about a year, but if I'm at a spot where, because this is where it's different from tidal. Like if you're over in a gunpowder and you're fishing, and you're over here on the eastern shore fishing, and you're fishing these rivers. A river is, how can I say? I can find it if you hit a spot, no matter what time of year it is. If you hit the right spot, you can catch big fish. Now, the only time I would leave fish is if I know there's fish there, but you're only catching little fish, and you only got the little ones. You're trying to catch weight, you're kind of catch bigger ones, but you got an idea. Maybe you got an idea maybe where you can catch, where you can always come back to that spot. But most of the time, you don't. If there's fish here, you don't leave it. I guess it's on particular on maybe the situation you're in.
Yeah. Now, what Sam said there, I think, kind of dovetails nicely into one of the fishing reports we'd probably touch on at some point in this call right here, even though it's not really any of our games specifically. But if I were out on the water and I was on a striper bite, but those striper are, schoolie class fish, I probably will hit a point where after a while I'm like, you know what? I've caught enough schoolies. I'm either going to let the lure drop deeper down, see if there's larger marks underneath of that school, or just straight up leave that area and try to find some better quality size fish. But that's a pretty timely conversation to have right now, because I mean,
I was just about to say,
I couldn't join them, but Rashawn and Tommy, my buddies over there, Tommy Tech Outdoors, Infamous Fishing, they tore it up. They went south to that striper bite. They tore it up.
But
dude, there's some big fish out there right now. It is fun.
The interesting thing about that, and Eddie and I have recently gotten to enjoy that, and we're going to try to stick to freshwater here. But, but the interesting thing you say about that is, you said, you leave the dinks to get to the bigger fish.
Yep.
Right now, people are catching a 20-inch fish in the same spot just moments before catching a 45-inch fish.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's really weird what's going on right now, and I'm not exactly sure why. and we're gonna stick to freshwater. But it's crazy that it's the rules are kind of getting broken right now for some reason.
I like it. That's
It's
an
pretty cool.
variety.
I'll kind of hit on it with pickerel. I find pickerel kind of grouped together more than not sometimes. Like I'll catch, if I'm catching one and then I catch another one, I'll stay at that spot until I don't catch for, like, let's say 5 to 8 casts. And then you can kind of feel it, like, okay, I've caught all those fish in that group, in that little spot. And then, but I'll stay in that same river and kind of maybe move down to like similar looking spots. So like I wouldn't leave a pickerel bite until you catch maybe 3 or 4 in that like area, because they'll definitely, if you find that grass spot, there can be 5 to 10 fish hanging out in that area.
Yep.
But then, yeah, I mean, I did it on the bass, on the striper part of it. If I find a good snakehead bite, I'm not leaving that spot. That's for sure. No. Only if like a beaver or stuff like that comes by, that'll shut it down.
That was my exact. That's a great point, Eddie. That was one of my thoughts when you were leading into that. There's been times it's like I'll be in the Eastern Shore River, uniformly shallow, kind of narrow, and here comes a mud boat. That mud boat comes through, and I know it's going to shut them down for like 15, 20 minutes or more. I'm like, okay, I was thinking about leaving and checking out this other spot. It's time for me to go.
Yep. Oh, you know what? Another kind of like to the beaver and that kind of point is cormorants with pickerel fishing. So I was in a spot the other day. I was like, man, they were just here yesterday. Great bite yesterday. Nothing. Casting. And then I see this little cormorant come up, and I'm like, son of a gun, man. And they'll chase them away for a while. So you like see those things, just go to another spot.
I live on the water, and it's like those cormorants drive me crazy. On the one hand, when they're around, I know there's fish in my cove. On the other hand, it's like they'll go down and I'll see the aftermath. I was like, oh, looks like a nice boil out there. And 20, 30 seconds later, here he comes up. I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Exactly.
I'm going to interrupt this real quick because I just want to, pick on someone and bring someone into the fold. It's like a beat them down and build them back up. Our friend Rashawn says, okay, first of all, Rashawn, how long have you been like Cambo's best buddy? Like at this point, you got to be able to come up with something better than Cambo minnow. Like
he
you guys
loves
have
that.
each other for I'm going to guess 20 years. Cambo minnow is the best you can come up with.
You ought to hear how every time I talk to him on the phone, whether I call him or he calls me, the first thing comes out of his mouth is meow. He's always giving me crap because wherever we go, I'm going to find a catfish, and it drives me crazy. It's like you think you have like an excellent specimen. Whatever you're chasing, I don't care what it is. It could be pickerel, bass, snakehead, perch, and you're fighting this fish, and then it's like you feel that run and you feel the roll, and you're just like, son of a.
Another cat.
That is the worst when you're on like a slow snakehead bite and you finally get that bite. You're like, yes, channel cat.
Especially during a tournament, dude. Especially during a tournament. You're like, oh, this is it. I'm bumping up on the boards now. Nope.
Well, Rashawn, you got to come up with something better than Cambo minnow. I'm not even going to take your question, but the build-up part is Cambo and Eddie are here every month, and we have a guest every month. And next month, my man, I want you to be the guest if you're so willing. So give me a text and let me know.
He wouldn't come on my podcast while I was there the other day.
What's that?
Yep. Over Edmure Bait and Tackle?
He wouldn't try to get him to come on and talk about his lures and everything. He had bedhead or something. I don't know. He didn't want to come on.
That's for next month, if Rashawn is so gracious to join us. But man, he really, really has a creative touch. What a monster just walked in front of this.
Whenever I sit in here to edit, she comes to visit me because my proper role is to pet the cat, not to edit, not to do any work. My proper role, I know my place.
But Rashawn's frogs, his lures are awesome. So we're really going to focus on that a little bit next month. But I've got this bad habit of like spending a lot of time on the first 3 questions, and then everyone else's questions get like yes, and then we go to the next. So we're gonna try to move through a little bit here. Let's see, what do we got? Kyle Lovett says, has anyone done any fly fishing for snakehead, and if so, any tips?
Yes, I have. So when it comes to fly fishing for snakehead, well, first of all, actually, I got a new fly rod this year because I want to do it more. Your go-to lures, generally speaking, for me, are going to be your poppers. Your poppers work very well. Check out a guy on maybe Instagram might be your best bet. But there are a few kind of consistent fly rod anglers out there for snakehead, and they've begun to make the poppers have actually an upward facing hook, but it's a custom design. So check out Fred DeWeese if you can look him up.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Yeah, the first name Fred, easy enough. DeWeese, Dewees, Fred DeWeese. The biggest thing, I mean, it kind of goes almost universally with fly fishing. If you can find those more open areas, of course, that's going to make your life a lot easier. So, like, I think of like, Blackwater proper, or those kind of large open areas along reeded shorelines can be great areas, especially to start out fly fishing for snakehead. The last tip I'll give you is strip setting. If you're not familiar with fly fishing, there's different ways to set the hook. One is to bring it up like you would like a conventional hook set with any other rod. Another is strip setting, which is where you grip up on the line and you pull back very hard with that hand you're using the strip with. And by doing that, what you do is you leave yourself room to pull that rod tip up if the snakehead runs at you. And quite often, if you fish for snakehead, you find out that they do run at you. So if you do a regular hook set and they run at you, you're going to be trying to catch up, trying to strip that line to find that hook, that hook tension. But if you do a strip set right off the bat, then you're able to still pull that lever up and actually catch up to them when they make that run. So those would be my tips for fly fishing snakehead.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
that's a great tip.
Man, you guys are really dropping knowledge tonight. I'm not just filling your heads up. But that's a nugget. That's a nugget. That's a nugget. You guys are killing it.
I haven't caught one on fly fishing, but I want to. I would also think that if you're upping your chances around fry ball season, would definitely be your best bet around using a popper. Yeah, I'm gonna I'm putting it in the kayak next year. That was one of my goals this year. I just didn't get to it.
Yep.
Next question from Scott with Lucky and Blessed. He asked, and we're going to give this one to you, Eddie, Mr. Witness Protection Program. Is there a water temp that you look to get the optimum pickerel bite?
That's a good question.
Yes. Unfortunately, we've kind of passed it.
You only have to wait 350 more days. But,
Yeah. It's kind of that upper 40s to 50-ish. Really seems when they're really feeding, and they'll be in the shallows. And yeah, so like 52 to 49, 48, I would say is a really good bite where they're just comfortable. They're a little bit everywhere.
Got it. Big Yacker, Colin with Big Yacker Fishing, great guy, watches the show all the time. So Colin, we appreciate it, and also working with Lucky and Blessed. Colin, do you think that tides affect the pickerel bite? When do you find the best pickerel bites?
It's a good question. I have ideas, Eddie. You want to go first on that?
Yeah, I'll hop on that one. Definitely high tides. I would say tide / water level. Yeah, it's more like water level than tide. Like you can do well on a low tide as long as there's a lot of water. If there's like on Saturday, I went out and my whole plan was to go pickerel fishing, but I got to the boat and like there was just no water everywhere. And I'm like, you know what? I've done this game before. I've stayed out there for 4 hours and just gotten nothing, just because you would think they would kind of concentrate, but I find that the bite is just dead when there's really little water. So when do you find it? So higher water, higher tide, but you can get them on low tide if there's enough water.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not even going to add to that. I think that's a great summary of it, man. Yeah, if you don't have enough water in there, pickerel fishing is a chore, man.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
I don't know what it's about it, but if they get like spooked or something like that, I don't know, but it's a problem.
Yeah, I don't know where
Really
they even go.
It's
Yep.
really hard. I've tried only a few times, and it's you just get that kind of empty feeling where you give up on every cast because you feel like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's a terrible feeling because at that point you're not even fishing well. It's like when you're
Right.
when you're in the zone, it's or at least focused on it, and that hope is alive.
Right.
You're paying attention to your cast. You're paying attention to your retrieve. You're paying attention to your surroundings. Like you're zoned in. But after you go for like hours without a hit,
Yeah.
and you've changed all these different variables, and I'm just like I don't know. I don't know.
I've said it a lot. I've said it a lot, and I stand by it. Is that fishing is one of those few things that you don't learn a lot from failure. You learn a lot from catching a fish and then
That's true, man.
I don't know. I think both. I think both. You can learn from both. You can learn when you got fish and you leave fish and you don't catch anything. You know not to do it again.
Well, the other thing is like I learn a lot when I make my decision for where to go, and I don't catch hardly anything, and then I look at my buddies' fishing pictures who did the opposite of what I did, and I'm like, okay, lesson learned. Dear diary.
I got proof of that.
Yeah, I know.
Michael Poole asked, typically how far from Main Bay waters are you catching snakehead? All the way up in the creeks, or are they areas in the Main Bay? And Cambo, we're going to let you have that one.
Mhm.
But I will say this is, man, that's changing. I've seen snakehead now right at the Chesapeake Beach boat ramp, which is, a few hundred feet from the Main Bay. I've seen them really right inside the South River. So, I mean, my take on this is like a lot of it depends on how much rain there is. If we've had a lot of rainy weather, that mark moves up a lot closer to the mouths of these rivers.
Yeah.
But Cambo, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll add a few things real quick. First, snakehead tolerate brackish water. I've had great luck in brackish water, but the really saline, the high salt content water, I haven't had much luck. Doesn't mean you won't see them there. I'm not saying that. But the biggest thing that I would focus on is the structure. Because if you can find a grass mat at the mouth of a creek, like I don't care if it's emptying into the Main Bay, if you found a grass mat, I think you'd have a good shot at them. But there's a limit to that. Like when you get down towards like Crisfield, Maryland, for example, there's plenty of grass mats down there, and there's plenty of reeds. But I haven't seen or heard of a lot of snakehead. Like that's not a snakehead hotspot, even though it has that structure. And there's a comment in the chat too from Jason Mikulski, which he says depends on salt levels more. Salt further up, they push. Yeah, we're basically saying the same thing. That yes, they can tolerate salt water to a degree, or like strong brackish water, but I've never ever had my best luck in the higher saline waters. It's always been where the salt content's lower and where there's plenty of grass.
Yeah, I've caught them in the crab pots right there underneath the Bay Bridge.
Oh yeah, it's like, and they'll do it. And like Grant said, it's like, I mean, they've seen them down in the Honga River. Like they've seen them in some salty environments, but by and large, they aren't doing well. They're not flourishing down there. It's like they may have followed a fresh, it's called a freshet, like a stream of fresh water from a rain event, and they'll follow those out to the mouth of a river. Like I remember, like a few years ago, Eddie, right down in the Severn, they found like a 10 or 12 pound snakehead down around the mouth. But it was either in a rough shape or it was dead. I don't remember which. So
yeah, they all look a little confused when they're in that salt water.
Exactly, dude. They're like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, I will say that the snakehead that I spotted at the Chesapeake Beach boat ramp was so out of it that we scooped him with a landing net.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. They are not in good shape.
No, they weren't doing so. Question for you, Sam, coming from our man Butch Huber. He says, Sam, what's the wintertime pattern for those big bass you hammer?
Get him, Sam.
I guess it depends. I really have a good, I tell you what, as much as everybody complains, I have a really good, I do really good on the chick with bass. And a lot of our winter tournaments, especially like early in March, I've been there when I've had ice on my ice on there. So I will throw a red. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. I don't care. Um, a good shallow running red colored fire tiger kind of crankbait. I'll throw sometimes, but I've when I had to slow roll something, I used a grub that had a little bit of red in it, red flakes,
Red flakes.
like a green, almost like a green pumpkin into the red flakes. A grub. I caught almost 14 pounds of bass that day.
It's like when I
Slow
hear
rolling
somebody
grub.
talking about soft plastic and they say red flake, I was like, yeah, you had me at red flake. Bring on the red flake, man. I don't know what it is, but the freaking bass love that stuff. Smallmouth, largemouth, either one.
And difference between snakehead and bass is that you really don't have to. I mean, you need to stay with the your green pumpkins and maybe throw a little flake in there. But your green pumpkins, black, you can throw. Whenever I throw a fluke, it's pearl white with nothing on it. Pearl white fluke, super fluke. The Zoom super fluke's my favorite. Springtime's great for that. But if you want to slow and have a nice dying fish, a fluke falling down real nice and slow. Is always a good pattern for. I guess you can do that with snakehead too. They would love to watch. Snakehead for that dying jerk shed. A picker like you. Remember that?
Yeah, you had
we
got that.
We said all day.
Yeah, man, we had a tough bite that day, and Sam was like, "All right, I'll throw it on the fluke." I get two casts later, nailed one.
It's like one of the most memorable trips of my life is back when I was probably, I think, 14 or 15. I was in chest waders on New Year's Eve in a snowstorm up at Loch Raven below the little dam. And I was throwing a super fluke. And when I tell you I was tearing up the pickerel and bass, I mean, like, if there's any lures that are immortal and going to stand the test of time, a super fluke has got to be in that category, man.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we are at the 3-minute point. Rashawn, I'm not going to.
What is a spy bait?
Eliminate you from contention because you did redeem yourself with a pretty good question here, which we're going to call the last question of the night. And then, as we said, Cambo and Eddie are going to pick a question each, and we're going to let our guest, Sam.
Don't be mad at me.
Be the tiebreaker. And be mad at.
What is spy bait? Can I ask you a question? He says, have we ever spy baited?
Oh, that's what we're asking. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
You spy baited? I don't know what that is either, but I'm guessing because him and Cambo are homies that Cambo hopefully will at least know what this is. But have any of you spy baited for fish? If so, what type and weight of spy bait?
So the answer for me is no. I was actually introduced to spy baiting as a concept by Rashawn probably a few weeks ago now. I didn't know about it until he told me the name. I was like, okay, do the Google. And like I picked it up and I was like, what the heck is a spy bait? So it kind of reminds me from looking at the lures, almost like a presentation you would use for kind of like a blade bait almost.
Kevin.
But you have like propellers on the tail, and it's almost like a hard body lure that you jig. From what I can see. So anyone in the chat, correct me. I've never done it. I don't claim to have done it. So, but that's like a quick Google search is something I've been looking up. But I'll have to look more into it, and then maybe we can talk about it another time because I have not tried it yet.
Yeah, that does look interesting. I'm looking it up right now. Kind of
it's a freshwater
show.
Kevin and Butch, you guys got your little debate going on, but I've got to say I agree with Kevin on this one. Redfish better than snakehead. Butch says negative, sir. We're not going to get into that.
That's a fun debate, though. Redfish is pretty fun too.
Yeah, I mean, redfish, it's a hell of a fish, man. I ain't gonna argue with that. It's a hell of a fish.
I mean, they're both awesome. They're both, both awesome.
Mark Nicholas could get into that good debate. He's been back and forth on those too.
Yep.
I caught a puppy drum for the first time. I went red fishing. I went to Virginia for red fishing, and like I was telling Cambo, we were watching 30 inchers just swimming by us, and they just would not bite anything. Everybody's here talking about snakeheads. Let me tell you something. There's a bait that really is not talked about a lot, and I think that if you actually try this, it would be where my buddy was throwing this bait, and he slayed. He caught like 12 or 13 snakehead that day, and we were bass fishing. That is basically throwing a jig and a pig, black blue black, blue, jig, and pig. You know, creature bait, throwing a creature bait in there,
Mm.
especially when you can really treat it like a bass fisherman. You get into some of them really, really tight areas with them bait. You will be surprised how many snakeheads you catch with them things.
Yep.
It's the same thing with swim jigs, man. And it's a really close to what you're talking about, Sam. It's like throwing a swim jig, and I don't. To this day, I swear to God, I don't quite understand it, because to me, it's like, why
Crawfish.
would they want a swim jig over a chatterbait? Chatterbait has more flash, more vibration. But I mean, like, guys I know out there, like Fish Stalker, John Hastalka, Rashawn, like a lot of the guys I know love throwing a swim jig, and it's kind of a real similar presentation to what Sam's talking about.
Well, they get really finessey
Well,
sometimes. So I almost think the chatterbait will spook them sometimes.
I think you're right, dude.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially we know it does, right? Because we've probably been using the chatterbait. You see one jump out of the water like a dolphin.
Right.
Like,
Seriously, it's like they're the most.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
it's the same difference of switching from a frog to a buzzbait.
Yeah.
If you're throwing a buzzbait and just say you got something chasing it, so you're chasing but they're not eating. What do? You switch to a frog. So
Well,
you switch to something that's going to slow down but stay on the water, or maybe go a little bit
Right.
subsurface. But you know what I mean.
Yep.
But that's kind of the same thing. Sometimes they don't want all that.
Yeah,
Cha-cha,
I'm right there with you, homie.
If you find that spot, dude, that's it, man. Game over.
Yeah.
I think if we find a spot that are both in the hour radius, half an hour radius.
Honestly,
well,
though,
there's some close
find
spots.
that
But,
spot, all humans will do is argue about which one eats the other one's fry.
Yep.
And then the spot will get burned, and then everyone will hate each other. So, Cha-Cha, the word is, if you find it, Marcus.
All right.
Don't
You tell me, Mark.
Anyways, guys, I mean, you guys, the three of you knocked it out of the park. This show was so concise and tight. For everyone that's watching, I mean, I didn't do a thing.
I was surprised. I was asked a question. I didn't think I was gonna like, man, what the hell am I gonna tell anybody?
Yeah, but you, homie. But like, if you know people that are into fishing in this region, I mean, we're bringing people in here that know a whole lot of stuff. I learned a lot tonight. But so show them, share the show with them, share the channel with them, share the High Octane Custom Baits. They make a fantastic product. The sponsor of the show is Old School Custom Baits. They work a lot with High Octane Custom Baits. We didn't talk about Cambo Trout, your YouTube channel, guys. Check that out. I mean,
He got soft porn going on there right now.
He to some extent. He got both of us into doing YouTube. So
the next video I have coming out is actually going to be my wife's first snakehead.
Nice. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I took her out back in October, and it's like I didn't post anything about it. I don't know why, but it's coming, y'all.
Nice.
It's coming.
But cool. If we are at that time of the night where the winner will get a High Octane Custom Bait, Eddie, the website so someone can pick it, can choose what they want.
Yep, highoctanecb.com.
Highoctanecb.com.
Yep.
So while the two of you are telling us your question of the night, I'm going to go ahead and type that into the chat. And
Kambo, you want to go first? I got a couple, so
we can only have one, Eddie.
Well, I know, but I have a couple in reserve.
All right.
So it's like I almost picked one that
what we're going to do here is the winner will need to go to highoctanecb.com and reach directly. Honestly, it'd be easier to contact Eddie directly. If you don't want to do that, you can reach out to me and I'll communicate with Eddie. But if you don't go pick out your bait, you're not going to win.
Right.
I am aware that we are a little bit behind on prize mailing. So if you're watching and you're like, man, I hadn't got my prize, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, because I think I've got most of them out, but I think I might still have a few. So let me know. But Cambo, what's your question of the night?
Question of the night for me, I think is going to be the question that I forget who it was, but it was the question about how far out towards the main bay are we finding the snakehead?
Ma'am.
I think that is, I'll find it here. That is Michael Cool. So
Yeah, that
Michael,
was a good
you
one.
are a contestant for the high octane custom bait. Eddie, what you got?
And I got to beat. And I got to beat.
I like
I gotta beat him up.
Sean's about when do you leave the fish?
Yeah.
That was
Sean Diggity.
right?
So
Sean Diggity.
Sam, you got here are your options, Sam. Is there ever a time you leave fish to find fish? If so, why?
Yeah, I think.
Or
I'm sorry,
how
Michael.
far from Main Bay waters are you catching snakehead? Now, I could add that if you chose Sean, then high octane baits would get a bait sent down to Florida, increasing their brand and market size. But you know what? What am I going to?
Sorry, Michael. I think I like that question. I think I like Sean's question better because that is a tough question when you're an angler and you're out there and you're catching fish, but for some reason something's making you go, man. It's like something's not right, and you want to go check somewhere else, and it's that's a pretty tough decision sometimes, depending on your situation, where you're in a tournament. If you're just fun fishing, you know, you got your kid with you and you're just catching fish, that's a day you stay, you don't go.
Yep.
If you're, that's a good question because that's a hard one. That's a hard decision.
So, Sean, you're our winner. Reach out directly to Eddie Weber. Eddie, how do they contact you?
Either Facebook, Eddie Weber, or Instagram at Severn River Angler.
Severn, Sean, you're down in Florida, so that's SEVERN, River Angler. But real quick, Sam, for the legal disclaimer, you are in no way influenced to choose that question, correct?
You didn't tell me you were going to say I had to do that. I thought you told me earlier. No, I wasn't influenced. That's a good question because that's a good question. It's a good question.
No, it's a great question.
And I have I got a light ring on my Christmas list, so hopefully Santa brings me a light ring next time in my face.
Cambo, you and Legion of Anglers got anything coming up you want to talk about?
Yeah. So it's going to be, I got a couple things. We normally do our kind of meetup cleanups this time of year. What we're going to do in January, the Back River Restoration Committee already has a cleanup scheduled for Hyde Park. We're going to kind of team up with them, and then do a fishing trip afterward. Details to come. The last thing I think I'll touch on, Legion of Anglers Elite Tournament Series, the Legion Elite. That's coming up in 2024. For details, check us out on Facebook, Legion of Anglers. We have all the events set up there, so you can mark your calendars. Thanks to Delaware Paddle Sports and all of our sponsors over there. And if you make it to the championship, you win that, you get a free high-end fishing kayak from Delaware Paddle Sports. So, yeah, come on out. Hope to see you out there.
Serious, man.
I'd love to something that collects dust while I use my boat every time.
You filthy salt fisherman, I tell you.
Man, no, dude, I tell myself every year, dude, I am definitely kayak fishing more this year. Eddie, Sam, you guys got anything going on with high octane or outdoors in Maryland you want to share with the group?
Good, Eddie.
Yeah, just continue to hit the water. We're stocking up a lot for next year, doing a couple shows early in February. So it's going to be here before we know it. Just stocking up and trying to fish as much as we can.
And if somebody doesn't want to go online and they want to just buy it at the local tackle shop, where do they go?
Yeah, we got it kind of all over the place. Anglers, Bay Country, in Edgewater, some at Tochterman's, All Tackle. They can also hit me up, and I can kind of guide them based on where you live.
Cool. Nice stuff. Samuel, take us out.
I still have 3 videos from October crabbing, so got a couple more crabbing videos. I've been trying to throw a crabbing video in there and a fishing video because I went offshore for the first time this year, and I had a blast. Almost got sick, but I'm good. Caught some sea bass. My next video will be catching crabs and stuffing sea bass with that crab meat. But the big one is I am actually going to be in Edgewater, January the 6th. I'm gonna be at Bay Country Crab and Supply. and we are going to be doing the in-store live there. So we're going to be going to Bay Country Crab and Supply. I'm going to have Captain Boomies with me. Captain Boomies is a female captain. She's one that actually drives in big giant yachts. I don't know if she's a captain. I don't know if she's driving the deadliest catch boats, but she's a yacht. So like a lot of people will either hire her as a captain for whenever. And now people hire her. They bring a boat in, they unload it, and she'll drive them to wherever they want them. So I watched her. She's really kind of a character. And the big thing that I liked about her is that she actually helped sail the Pride of Baltimore from Baltimore actually to the Bahamas. So she was actually one of them that actually sailed that boat down there. So she's kind of cool, and I think it'll be fun. So that'll be kind of cool.
Very cool.
Good deal.
Good
And
stuff.
video.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you had.
I got more videos coming. Please subscribe to my channel, because if not, I'm going to quit and just start doing my music channel.
Yeah, Sam is also an aficionado, and you can get on me if I screw it up, but you're into metal, right? Isn't that the term for it?
Yeah, I got Overkill on. That's a metal band.
I'm such a nerd. I'm like, isn't the term for it metal?
Is it pronounced metal? Metal, is that right?
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised of one of the bands I like. Couple of bands I like. One of them, we're running late. Who cares? What anybody got to do on a Tuesday night? Nobody's got to get up for work. At least I don't.
Sam and Eddie have these things called families, but
No, they're sleeping now.
Yeah. So there's a couple bands that actually sound like Led Zeppelin and the Doors kind of stuff that I think's a good album. And then I got stuff that it's one of the songs you would think was on a Disney movie. So, and I like all my thrash metal, all my heavy metal, Overkill. I love all that stuff. So I'm a very big, good music's good music. So if it's good, I don't care what genre it is, but I am definitely an old school metalhead.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching.
Absolutely. That's the way it goes, baby.
Man, you guys are awesome. Thanks so much, everybody, for taking some time to check us out. Kambo, Eddie, and Sam, you guys really shared a lot tonight and helped me keep a nice, tight, concise show. So, appreciate that, fellas.
Anytime.
I hope everyone at home has a happy holiday. I'm trying to think we will be back on Thursday. So I'll see everyone on Thursday with Captain C.L. Marshall and Captain Cole Langley as we visit the Southern Bay, and we'll actually probably talk a little bit about redfish, because I heard a crazy story the other day, but I'll leave that as a cliffhanger. So
nice.
Tune in. Everyone for watching. What's that?
So we'll be tuning in then. I don't turn down that until.
See now what I normally do is I watch, because I'm usually in bed by like 6:30, 7 at the latest, because I get up at 1:30 in the morning to go to work. So I get up really early. So I usually come in the next morning, and I've got an hour drive to work. So I usually just listen to your live while I'm driving in the next day.
Sam, have you heard of a concise ending? Come on, we got it just right.
Why do you think I want to host a show, dude? I don't know when to shut up.
I love all three of you guys.
All right, buddy.
You guys are awesome. Three of you guys, happy holidays. For everyone else, we will see you on Thursday. So thanks so much for watching. See you on Thursday.
Later, guys.